Who, Matt Green, is the next team to win the SEC not named Alabama or Georgia?
I started to get super hot with this take,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think common knowledge or common wisdom would tell you Texas A&M, right? Everyone's telling you A&M's knocking on the door. I almost went real hot and was going to say Oklahoma as the next team to win the SEC because I think Alabama and Georgia, I could see them winning the next 2 or 3. What we got 2 more, three more, and then we got Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC. So, but I didn't. I'm not going Oklahoma. I'm going with LSU. The last 3 coaches, as you know, that LSU has had have all won a national championship.
Yes.
And they've all done it in the first 4 years.
Mm.
Nick Saban did it in 4 years. Les Miles and Ed Orgeron both did it in 3 years. I guess Orgeron's kind of the 3.5 year. But so I think in the next 3 or 4 years, Brian Kelly, he's been proven to be one of the best coaches in college football. At Notre Dame, I just think the sky is the absolute limit for what LSU can be under a really good coach like Brian Kelly. Like they won a national championship, and I think we can all agree now. Like I said it at the time, I think we can all agree now, Ed Orgeron was never a good coach. Like he just kind of lucked into just this perfect situation of the stars aligning and getting this incredible transfer quarterback. And like that's what happened. Like he had
Joe
to do
Brady.
He had to do some good things for assistants for sure, but I think they could tell a year after that team dismantled, like they fired him. You know, like it's so Ed Orgeron, I think, wasn't even a good coach, and he won a national championship. Brian Kelly is one of the elite coaches in college football, and I think once he gets LSU to what the program he wants, like I think they're going to be right there with Alabama and Georgia and Texas A&M every single year. And I think I'm more convinced that they're going to be there with Alabama and Georgia than I am Texas A&M because, you know, Texas A&M, like Jimbo's recruiting great, but someone was recruiting great too. Like he wasn't recruiting on Jimbo's level by any means, but A&M has been getting talent basically since they joined the SEC. Johnny Manziel, they just perfect timing for them. They've hit the ground running. Like they've been getting good recruiting classes, and we've still seen a lot of 8 and 5s. Like I know that the COVID year they're kind of punished for. Like people don't really remember how good they were that year, but I'm more convinced that LSU will be there quicker than Texas A&M.
Interesting. I would still say A&M. Like I'm almost just to the point where I'm like, it's just too much talent where you have so many 5 and 4 stars on this roster that like, I genuinely don't know how you don't break through with that kind of blue chip ratio where we haven't seen recruiting like this over a 2 to 3 year span ever. So,
I mean, the only reason you might not is because how elite they've been over the last 2 or 3 years or whatever that looks like in 2023, 2024, like whatever classes they have stacked on top of each other, you know, Alabama and Georgia, it's going to be basically just as good, right? Like maybe they're number 1 the next couple of years and Alabama's 2 and Georgia's 3 or 4, but like those teams are signing elite classes too. So they're just getting the prerequisite talent that's required to be able to expect national titles and SEC titles, but it's still far from actually getting it done.
I think my wild card's probably Arkansas. Like I think that's one that would be like Arkansas is a wild card one where Pittman's cleaning up and recruiting. Like Arkansas is recruiting their tail off, and KJ Jefferson's a really good player. They're recruiting well at the quarterback spot. Like Pittman's been able to keep Odom, Bryles as his coordinators. Like there's a lot of continuity there. Like they're probably the wild card scenario where if the season where everything goes right, I could see it. Like I could see them just getting like just having the perfect season where they make it through. But it's just a tall task to ask any of these non-Bama A&M teams to be like, you gotta run the gauntlet and then play Georgia or something in the SEC title game. That's just a lot for a team that will not have the blue chip ratio necessary to win a title. So I don't know. I think they're close and I think they're a wild card team, but I don't know. No one else really jumps out in the East. Yeah, go ahead.
So if you had to make a list right now, who are you saying is number 1? A&M? And then you would say Arkansas 2?
If I do this list, I'd probably do A&M 1, LSU 2.
Okay.
Tennessee 3. Arkansas 4. Ole Miss 5.
Ooh, Ole Miss. See, I would say
because if you look at the
LSU
portal
won.
stuff where you bring in a Dart, Zach Evans, a bunch of former 5-stars,
I
and
think.
this.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just saying, like, they're the other lightning in the bottle, where if, like, he's the portal king, where we could have a portal SEC championship, like, Lane Kiffin would be the one to do that, where he just gets all the 5-star, 4-star guys in 1 year, and for whatever reason, they all coalesce and just create the perfect roster. Kind of like the LSU year, where he could have that LSU Ed Orgeron year, where he has a Joe Burrow, like, Jackson Dart could be that kind of guy, whoever it is, and then they just have this unbelievable year and run the gauntlet and go to the playoff or whatever. But I don't know. I think it's just we'll have to see. They just won 10 games for the first time ever.
For sure. But no, they're definitely in a good situation right now. I think this is a very important year to kind of tell us like what kind of program Ole Miss is. Like, is their rebuilding year a 6-6, or is their reloading year a 9-4? You know, like I think it's a big, because I think they're taking a step back, but if they're still the second or third best team in the West, like that's another level that Ole Miss hasn't been at. Like they're a kind of a stars align. So this is the year that we could win the SEC West type of team. If they can be competing for the West multiple years in a row, I think that would show huge improvement. If I'm making my list, though, I'm definitely going LSU and A&M 1 and 2. I'm tempted to go Florida ahead of Tennessee. But Billy Napier's open letter to the fan base,
Not great.
That really worries me. That gives me some Butch Jones flashbacks. Like, what are we doing here with our media? Are we all rowing in the same direction or what? You know, like just being a little rattled by some of the pressure before ever coaching a game. Not a great sign. So I almost want to go Florida or Tennessee right there. But after Florida or Tennessee, I think it's Oklahoma or Texas.
We can't throw them in. I wasn't including them. Yeah, I wasn't including the new ones.
But you're saying the next to win the SEC, we only have like 3 more years. I don't see.
So you're saying it's Bama and Georgia only for like the next 3 years?
No, it could be LSU. They could be in there the third or fourth. But I think I don't see Ole Miss winning an SEC championship in the next 3 years. And then once Oklahoma and Texas are in, like it's not getting easier for Ole Miss. Like they've never even won the West. So I don't know. It's hard for me to see Ole Miss getting in there. And then someone like Oklahoma, and I don't know. I don't see them doing it before either of them.
Do you think Saban's in the conference still when Oklahoma and Texas come? What if he leaves he retires the year before they come in?
Man, that would be pretty crazy. That would really open things up in a even more wide open 16-team conference.
He's
I don't
70.
know.
He turned
He
71
is, but look at
fall.
him. Like he looks the same as he did in 2006. Like
that's fine. When did Bobby Bowden retire? What age was Bobby Bowden?
I mean, him and Paterno got into the 80s. Like I want to say Paterno was like 85. But Paterno also should not have been coaching at that point. Like he was just so old. Like Bobby Bowden, and we don't have to get into anything else, but Bobby Bowden like at least seemed like a functioning human being in like 2004, 2005. Like Paterno, no disrespect to Paterno, so I'll leave it at that. He wasn't looking great in those last years.
I mean, Bobby Bowden from 87 to 2003, 2004 is one of the more underrated runs of any coach of all time. So anyone who's like Bobby Bowden's not one of the 5 best college football coaches of all time, I'm like, you're mistaken.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
That's why I had in Florida State in that blue blood conversation. Yeah. It's like 3 national championships in the last 30 years. Like that's way more relevant than anything Michigan and Notre Dame did before 1948. Like, sorry.
First coach fired in each Power 5 conference will be who?
Man. Great segue, sir, because the answer to that question is Florida State's own Mike Norvell.
Ooh.
Because this is the main reason. If it's going to be early, it's got to be a big-time program.
Yeah.
Jeff Collins is the answer. They've already made the decision to fire him, but they're not going to fire him before the season's over. Because what is Georgia Tech going to do the first 6 games? Oh, we're 2-4. Oh, we got to fire Jeff Collins now. Like, no, 2-4 might be encouraging depending on where they are, you know?
Well, that schedule, there's no path. Like, it's just, we've talked about their schedule. Like, Georgia Tech has no path. Like, Jeff Collins, it's over. There's
exactly.
Just no path.
So it's like that decision's already been made, but I don't feel like he'll be the first one fired because it seems like only big time programs fire the coach mid-year because it's just like, this is